Hey everyone, here's the long-awaited solo guide. In this guide, I'm going to go over strategies for the most current version of Lethal Company V69 and the best version for high quota, which is V56. I will give advice on what to do if you want to reach higher quotas in solo. If anything changes for the current version as updates come out, I will put these changes in the pinned comments. And you might be thinking, why should you listen to me for solo? Well, I recently got the V69 solo world record quota of 7,994. That VOD will be up on my second channel, and I will have a best moments video out for it on this channel coming soon. So let's get into it. When you begin your save, you are going to want to set up the ship with the filing cabinet in the corner if you are on V56, and nothing in the corner if you are on V69. The filing cabinet is in the corner for V56 because this is what you are going to use to kill the fox later in the game. If you do not know how to kill the fox when it spawns on the ship, I have a video linked in the description. We leave the corner clear in V69 because you can use this corner to make entities think you are outside the ship just by standing in the corner. This can be particularly good for Ghost Girl chasing you. Next, for Quota 1, route to Adamants or Assurance. If you are confident in your skills and playing Adamants, you should go Adamants for all 3 days of the quota because it has the most potential for good loot and beehives. If you are not as confident, then go Assurance for all 3 days. Assurance still has good loot and you can average 400 to 500 a day fairly easily. You may also mix if you would like. Get a first good day on Adamants, then play Assurance for the last 2 to play it more safe. The goal at the end of Quota 1 is to at least have 1626 scrap for V56 or 1614 scrap for V69, so you can go Artifice and buy Cruiser and at least 1 Weed Killer. We will get more into that later. Ideally, once you have set up your ship and routed to your moon, you should leave the save and join back. This will make it so you can quickly reset the save until you get beehives on your desired starting moon. A good first day makes the run easier overall. To scan for hives, spam the scan command in the terminal as the seed loads. The number of objects on the moon will change if there are hives, and you can figure out how many. For more specifics, if you don't know how to do this, check out my scanning guide linked in the description. When playing Adamants, you should go main, loot the close loot rooms, and take those items back to ship, then go fire exit and play the rest of the day out there. For Assurance, go fire exit off the start by doing the jump, and loot as much as you can there. Only go to main if you didn't find as much at fire or have the time at the end of the day. For V69, if you get Mineshaft, you should only play fire exit the whole time. You know if you get Mineshaft by the scan. Mineshaft adds 6 objects, so for Adamants, you should see a scan of 22 or higher, and for Assurance, you should see a scan of 19 or higher. Some tips for Quota 1. On Adamants, you should think about transferring from fire exit around 4 or 5 p.m. because it does take a while as you are solo, and you need time to get the beehives if you have any. Don't bother getting equipment until after day 1. Once you play day 1, you can route to the company and pick up equipment there so you don't waste time during the day grabbing them. This will not use up a day. I recommend getting 2 shovels, but you can also do 1 shovel and 3 lockpickers if you are on V69. After Quota 1, figure out how much you need to sell. You can do this easily with a calculator in the spreadsheet, linked in the description. For the calculator, just add up how much you need overall under the target section, put how much you have in terminal, which should be 0 if you bought 2 shovels, and then look at the sell column to see what you need to sell. If you don't have enough for Cruiser, Weed Killer, and Artifice, then see if you have enough to play Jetpack and Rend. If you don't have enough for that, then I recommend resetting and trying to get more on Quota 1, or playing Quota 2 on Adamants or Assurance. It never hurts for practice. In case you don't know, the meta for these versions are using Cruiser to boost back the ship at the end of the day. Here's a demonstration of how these boosted jumps are done. For V56, you can throw all your objects on the side of the Cruiser by just walking up to it and looking up. For V69, you should put them in the back or jump on top and drop them on top of the Cruiser. For the jump, this works in either version. Put enough Weed Killer to fill up the orange bar in the Cruiser. This gives you 5 boosted jumps. Then you are going to back up the Cruiser, drive it slightly up so you are not touching the back of the hill here, and boost using A twice very fast, then a WA boost, WS boost, and then a final boost using A if you need it. A more detailed guide is provided in the description. For Eclipse days on Artifice, you will be doing the ship to fire jump. This means you will do 2 D jumps quickly, a SD jump, WD jump, then a D jump. Everyone has their own ways of doing these jumps, so just having enough practice and finding out what way works for you, and you'll be able to do these jumps. I'm now going to go over Artifice strategies. The strategies for Mansion and Facility are the same for version 56 and version 69. Scan as you would at the beginning of the day. For V56, you will always get Facility or Mansion. For V69, Mansion and Facility will be if your object count is 31 or lower. For these interiors, you will first drive the cruiser to main. Don't forget to turn on magnet for the cruiser jump at the end of the day. Park the car next to main however you like. I try and back it up right next to the entrance, but you don't have to. Turn the car off so dogs won't hear it, and head inside. For Mansion, you want to loot your dead ends and a little bit of the network. The network is the main portion of the interior. Facility is similar. Loot your dead ends and find the maze. Loot a little bit of the maze, but if you have a lot of loot at main already, or the maze doesn't have any close loot rooms, then put your items on cruiser and drive to fire. You should be leaving fire as soon as you can because the cruiser is safer over there. Ideally, you want to be driving over before 1 PM. Once at fire, park the cruiser in the corner as so. Once again, turning off the cruiser will help with dogs not hearing it, but they will only hear it in this spot if someone or something aggroes the dog over. They will not ever path close enough to hear it on their own. Then go ahead and loot fire exit as long as possible. At the end of the day, do your cruiser jump to get everything back. This will be the same formula you use the entire run for these interiors. For version 69, if you do end up getting 32 objects or above on the scan, head to fire exit. You will play the Mineshaft interior from the fire exit because the elevator wastes a lot of time and majority of your loot is in the mines. Once you're in fire exit, you want to ignore everything and find the mines as quickly as possible. Hug a left or right wall and loot, leaving crumb trails like you do in Facility and Mansion tiles. This will help you not to get lost. Once you find a decent amount of items, you want to work your way back. The biggest issue with mines is going too deep, wasting too much time finding loot, and then not being able to bring it back. The next biggest issue is having entity spawns while you're in the caves. By looting quickly and not playing as deep into the caves, you can get decent loot and avoid bad entity spawns that might trap you. Once you have found your stopping point, maybe around 10 to 12 items, turn back and hug the other wall back. You'll find more items on your way back, and even after that, you have the facility section to loot. If you do all this and haven't found much and still have time in the day, you can go to the main entrance and find a couple items. I never try and go for more than 4 items at main late in the day. All of your items will be in tiles by the main entrance or tiles that look like this, so keep an eye out for them. After that, call it a day and jump the cruiser back. This is what you will do for the following quotas also. Quota 2, you can oversell for Artifice, a jetpack, and another weed killer. Every quota you should buy a weed killer so you don't run out. Each weed has 30 sprays, but you never know when you're going to get an eclipse and have to use more than you normally need. Jetpack is good because at the end of the day, you can take cruiser back, and then with any time left, jet back to the entrance where you might know there's more loot. Around quota 8, you will reach the point where you don't have to oversell for Artifice and weed killer anymore, and you can just sell exactly to quota. A lot of solo is practice. Rinse and repeat this general strategy until you have it down, and soon enough you'll be getting $800 to $1,000 days consistently on Artifice. Here's some overall advice. Crumb trail looting. To loot quickly, you should leave items as a crumb trail and pathways that head back to the fire exit or whatever exit you came from. This way you do not get lost and you don't have to backtrack as much, which wastes time. The next tip is don't risk anything. If you haven't played solo that much, then you're not going straight for world record. Take it slow and get a good personal best. The hardest part of solo is staying alive. One death and you have to restart. You can get a really good high quota just by staying alive, even if it means a few $300 days. It sounds a little crazy, but by only averaging 700 on Artifice, you can get a 5,000 quota solo. This is still recognized as an incredible achievement. If you have an eclipse day on the first day on any of your quotas, you can always play it safe and go adamance or assurance with your jetpack, then route to Artifice for day 2. It's up to your solo confidence whether or not you want to do this. For rainy days, just make sure mud hasn't spawned below the magnet so you don't fall in the mud getting out of the cruiser. If it is there, you will need to use the eject button and jetpack to get out without taking damage or dying. Other weather shouldn't give you any issues. Here's some tips on how to deal with the annoying entities in solo. For Jester, loot as much as you can from your exit, then play the other exit once it gets too annoying dealing with the Jester. If possible, bait the Jester to the exit you don't want to loot, so that you have more time looting the exit that you do want to loot. Keep in mind the time it takes for Jester to wind is almost twice as long in solo. For Butler, kill only if it gets too annoying. It's easier to avoid bees, and Butler is only 2-hit solo. Otherwise, put him behind a door. For Bracken, one of the biggest solo run enders, be careful jumping down libraries and rounding corners fast. I find it best to walk around corners to avoid bad deaths and conserve stamina. As always, frequently check behind you. For Ghost Girl, use the trimmings of the mansion if she chases you. If you're not in the mansion interior, just try not to flick behind you so much. Remember that if you never look at the Ghost Girl or get close to the Ghost Girl, she will never skip at you to kill you. Keep in mind Bracken and try and position yourself so that you can't get got. A really helpful tip is that Ghost Girl can only appear 20 seconds after she last disappeared, so if she went away, you have a 20-second window to freely look around and look for Brackens and just loot in general. For Coilhead, use doors to create distance or play another exit. In V69, coilheads aren't as much of an issue because one door and you can usually get them to deactivate to give you even more time to get away. For Snare Flea, just don't panic. Snare Fleas will get off your head on the initial encounter in solo. You can also jump to have them lose track of you if they are chasing you. That is all I have for this guide. This was mainly going over the solo setup to get higher quotas more easily. Not every different piece of tech. So if you have any further questions, make sure to check out the other videos on my channel. I have tons of different tech on the channel that you can check out, and I'm also happy to answer any questions you have in the comments. Thanks for watching.